All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. Hope everybody is doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. Uh, let's get to it. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. Real quick, just drop me one in the chat if you can hear me okay. Perfect. Appreciate it. All right. Let's hop over to the credo. Action. Accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome. Remember to center yourself in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Trust in your education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Imagine trades successfully materializing. Obey your trading strategy, avoiding decision based on greed and fear, never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. Oh, my screen's not sharing. I apologize. There we go. Now should be able to see that there. Credo of action. So let's dive in. We got quite a bit to cover today. A little bit from a fundamental perspective. Bank of Japan doing their thing yesterday, early this morning. And so let's get caught up here. So we'll hop over to trading economics and we'll get to it. All right, so top thing, got a post in the community a little while ago, but Bank of Japan holds rates. All right, you guys can see. There we go. All right, Bank of Japan kept its key short-term interest rates unchanged at 0.01%, and that of the 10-year bond yields around 0% during its January meeting, as expected. Meanwhile, in the quarterly outlook, the BOJ/CPI readings for fiscal year 2024 to 2.4% from October's projections of 2.8, reflecting a recent decline in oil prices. For 2025, the board said that it expects core inflation to hit 1.8%, slightly higher than its earlier estimates of 1.7. Policymakers also cut their 2023 GDP growth forecast to 1.8% from 2%. For fiscal year 2024, the bank revised higher its GDP outlook. So looking at some growth happening in 2024 from 1.2% from 1%, supporting pent-up demand. After the decision, BOJ Governor Ueda commented that any potential rate hike would initially seek to maintain BOJ policy in support of the economy and would strive to minimize disruptions. Expanding on the newly incorporated language in the central bank's quarterly outlook report, Governor noted that the confidence in achieving the BOJ's projection has steadily grown. So there's confidence in what they're doing, right? And they expect things to, they expect that support to be there. Okay. So standing pat right now, and they're looking for, again, a rate decision. Wage decisions. Those meetings are ongoing. So we will continue to monitor the situation there. We'll take a look at some yen crosses and see what they're doing once we hop over to the charts. And we have couple things. So containerized freight index benchmark Shanghai containerized freight index surged to 2,239 points, its highest since September 2022, as over 2,300 ships diverted routes to avoid potential junta attacks in the Red Sea. The region responsible for handling 12% of global sea trade has witnessed heightened tensions as U.S. and UK forces launch strikes against Houthi targets. These military actions aim to prevent the group from attacking commercial vessels in the Red Sea. Junta claimed that their attacks support Hamas in its attacks with Israel, causing disruptions in the Red Sea routes, prompting vessels to take longer routes around southern Africa. Rerouting incurs an additional 10 days and $1 million in fuel costs for one-way voyages between Asia and Europe. Rising concerns about potential global trade disrupts and inflation. So, excuse me. What this says is fears of that conflict expanding. This says oil prices increasing, right? $1 million in fuel costs for one-way voyages, right? And then increase in shipping costs overall, right? Similar to what we saw with the Russian-Israel conflict war. So let's continue to watch these the commodities to see what happens as this continues to heighten, right? But you're continuing to get U.S. and UK forces stepping in the situation, which can continue to increase the fear of expansion of this conflict. All right. So we will keep our eyes peeled there on that. All right. Coming back. UK public sector net borrowing below forecast. Excuse me. Hold on one second, everybody. My apologies. Then obviously Brent crude hovers around 4-week highs. Fresh strikes on by U.S. and UK forces stoke fears of a wider conflict in the region could disrupt supply. Oil prices also jumped 2% on Monday following reports of that Ukraine drones attacked energy facilities on Russia-Baltic coast. Meanwhile, restart flows to Libya, Libya's largest oil field, and signs of growth output, especially for non-OPEC countries, continued to weigh on the market. On the demand side, the IEA revised its 2024 oil demand growth projection to 1.24 million barrels per day, up to 180,000 barrels per day, citing improvement in economic growth and lower crude prices in Q4. OPEC also maintained its forecast of 2.25 million barrels per day demand 2024 with a strong expectation of 1.85 million barrels per day growth in 2025. All right. So that's where we are there. Okay. Quite a bit happening around the world. So it's always interesting to review from a fundamental perspective and just see the things that are happening, and then watching the market to see how the market responds to those things. Right. So on the calendar, right, we see BOJ in their decision. We'll talk about the yen once we take a look at the charts, but the market moves in waves regardless. So things are at a high price, still looking at a retracement to occur and then continuation to the upside, at least in the short term. So we got Bank of Japan decisions there. Later on today, we got CPI coming out of New Zealand at 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Flash PMI for the Aussie tomorrow, Wednesday. Tons of data, right? PMI data coming out of the Eurozone. We got Bank of Canada rate statement. Okay. US PMI data, press conference for Bank of Canada. Then on Thursday, we have Europe, right? ECB rate statement Thursday morning, and then the press conference. And then on Friday, we got CPI, the core PCE data for the United States and monetary policy meeting minutes for the Bank of Japan. All right. So busy week this week when it comes to rate statements, but we could start to see some movement in some of these pairs as we've been waiting to see how things are going to look from a fundamental perspective. All right. Questions fundamentally or anything that you guys have seen that you want to chat about? Oh, all right. Cool deal. So let's hop over to the charts. Excuse me. Dollar. All right. On the dollar, so 4 hours. So this week, right, we got this gap. Well, last Thursday we had this gap up, and that gap took us above this daily resistance level, right? And now we're just kind of coming back to retest that level, trying to push to the upside here. So we shall see how the data for the dollar and the data for the euro, right? The DXY is heavily weighted by the euro. It's like 57, 67%. So we'll see how that impacts the DXY as we continue to move forward. But pulling back right now, retesting that previous level of daily resistance, testing it as support. We'll see if we're able to hold above that and continue pressing to the upside. All right. So we moved out of that zone. Now let's see what happens from there. All right. Coming back to the daily, all right. Both weeks we've seen these gaps. So it'll be interesting to see how the market moves from there. And then how the data on the dollar also comes out, right? Here on the one, you see the push to the upside, had consolidation, then the gap up, pull back, and now we're trying to push back long. Okay, so we could see the dollar continue to ride to the upside, which those dollar pairs continue to move to the downside, filling out that right tip of that crown that we saw on the weekly time frame. Okay, so that's the DXY. Let's take a look at the dollar yen. We had the setup on the dollar yen 80.20. We had the consolidation, and you see here this moved down last night, early this morning, right? As that rate statement for the Bank of Japan came out, right? Came out at midnight, 10 o'clock, midnight. So had to push down. Now we're getting this pullback. So how does this impact things, right? Bank of Japan is holding rates as expected. There isn't anything different than what was expected. So that movement of them holding rates was already priced in. Okay, that was priced in as the expectation. We saw the consolidation to see if there's any surprises. Then we saw a breakdown as that report came out. All right. So our breakdown as that report came out. Now we're getting a pullback. So my expectation is for the wave sequence to continue, right, with these yen crosses. So looking for a retracement to occur. And then once we get to a low price, seeing as they have not changed anything, right, then we'll look for a continuation to the upside. That's my expectation with the yen cross. And I will see what happens in this particular pair with the dollar yen. See how the dollar data comes out. But this 80-20 is still intact, right? We actually broke out to the downside of the consolidation here, right? Broke out to the downside of the consolidation. Now we're pulling back to retest that consolidation zone. All right. So looking for these to continue their movements. Could take its time, but looking for it to continue the movements nonetheless. Right. So that's the dollar yen. Any questions here? Nope. All right. Um, Um, and we had, I want to take a look at this dollar CAD. Yeah, so this dollar CAD on the one, right? This 80-20 scenario played out beautifully. Boom, we pushed down to that 50% level, right? There. Now we're moving back to the upside. Okay. Started that movement this week, talked about over the weekend. So we're looking at potentially this move continuing to the upside. We'll see if we're able to break through some of these levels here, but we could be in for price to move long, depending on what the Bank of Canada has to say tomorrow. All right. Coming back to the four. Turn this up a little bit. There we go. This is what that looks like. All right. So we'll see if we get this deeper push here on this capital AB boundary. All right. We had this 80-20 scenario play out, TP2. Now we're looking to see what happens here. All right. Is it more on Bank of Canada strength, or does the dollar continue to ride along here? So this one is in between, watching to see what happens, see if we stay in this range for a little bit, or if we break out in one direction or the other. So that is the dollar CAD on that side. Pound yen, to Ann's question. So we're sitting at a key level here, right? We've been watching this level from multiple perspectives, right? Monthly time frame 188,702 is that resistance level that we've had our eye on. Price to come back to. Weekly time frame, right? We pushed out of that zone the last time, came back to it. We're getting some indecision now. Strong push up to that level, not able to break through. Okay. Coming down to the daily. Daily time frame, just shy of an 80-20 scenario. Got a 236 push, but haven't been able to break above that zone. Okay. And now we just got this sideways push. So when we come down to the four and we look at this, right, and run our trend line to the upside, remove this out, run our trend line to the upside, right? On the four, we got a trend line break, right? And we got a trend line break here. I pulled back quite a bit, so we want to see, does that continue moving to the downside? All right, it didn't fully break out of the consolidation zone, right? Which is there. So still indecisive from a consolidative perspective. Okay. But we did break the trend line. So let's see if we get some continuation and break out of that consolidation zone, come back and retest similar to that dollar yen did. Right. So that's what I'm watching there. But my expectation is the way this looks and the way price has moved out of this level, I'm looking for a retracement to occur here, right? So I'm looking for this 80-20 scenario to play out to the downside. We'll see, right? Don't have control over price, but we'll watch and see what happens, right? Coming down to the one, you see here we got a double top scenario right at that level. And then we press down. So you see the nice bearish action here on the one that did give us that breakout of that zone. All right. That zone there, we still just push to the bottom of that range, just like we saw in the four. Okay. So bearish action. Now we need continuation. Okay. So if you drew your trend lines here on the one, right, you got your trend line break. You got your trend line break there, pullback, consolidation. We'll see if we get continuation to the downside there. So that's what I'm looking for. Looking for price to move to at least at TP1 level, potentially TP2, right? The daily support is just above that 185, 857 TP2 level. So we could push to that zone and then see a continuation to the upside. Okay. Questions on the dollar, on the pound yen. No. And what are you seeing here? What questions did you have? Cool deal. All right. That is the GJ. Let's look at the euro yen. So similar deals, right? Weekly time frame, we got our 80-20 scenario. Strong breakout, pullback. I'll see if we're able to continue to the downside here with the yen, right? This is the long-term scenario. Could get a ton of back and forth, and we got some support levels that we have to break through, but here we are, right? So on the daily time frame, we also got that 80-20 scenario, broke down, pull back, deep retracement on the sub fib 786 level, looking to see if we get some continuation to the downside. Okay. Again, we got daily levels that we broke out of that we'll have to break back through. All right. Right there. Previous daily resistance that we broke above. So we got to break below this level before we see a continuation to the downside. So that's the level that I'm watching and see if we're able to break that so that that move can continue. Okay. If we don't break this level, we could see another push to the upside, getting back to this 164, 269 level, then continuing to the downside. So we'll see how this one plays out. Seeing as the Bank of Japan still is standing firm on their stance, right? So it'll be more about what happens with the euro. If we see some retracement in the euro, then potentially we could see this move to the downside anyway, more due to euro than anything else, right? So we'll watch and see how the ECB comes out on Thursday. Okay. To the four, right? Here's our 80-20 on the four. Also, trend line break, right? Trend line break, close. Now, do we get pullback, pullback, and then continuation? All right. Again, that level will have to break through, but are we able to get this action like that? Okay. So we got the trend line break that we're looking for, right? As an additional confirmation piece that we talk about. So now we'll look for a small pullback on lower time frame and continuation to the downside. Okay. What that looks like on the one is this. Yes, we got a 50% retracement here. However, higher time frames control the lower time frames. So looking for that move to the downside coming out of the higher time frame scenario. Okay. We run our trend line to the upside. Oops. Like so. Boom. Outermost point of the consolidation. And there we go. Okay. So we also got the trend line break there. Okay. Trend line break. Now we're just consolidating. Maybe we get a little bit of a pullback. Then we'll see if we get that continuation to the downside. Okay. Action like that. Questions on the Euro JPY? Right. So the cycle continues, right? You see the back and forth and how the crosses are similar. So we'll see if we get this continuation to the downside here. Okay. Swiss yen, similar story. So here we had this battle to see if we're going to get to this 176 level, and we still may. We still may as this thing trickles to the upside. Um, we're at all-time highs, right? So not too far from that 176 level, which is a D extension on the monthly time frame. We're also sitting just shy of this 118 level for an 80-20 scenario on the weekly time frame. All right. I'm getting a sideways push now. Daily, we just wicked the 382 here, pushed into the 118, 127 zone. Okay. On the fours where we have our 80-20 scenario. Right. This fib is a little off. So we will redraw it like that. Just shy of that 118 level there, right? Um, got our sideways push, bearish candle, didn't fully break out of the consolidation here, but nice bearish candle close for a pullback, and we'll see if we get a continuation here. Right? We know it could potentially have some weakness in the Swissy, right, which could give us a catalyst for that move down. So we'll watch that and see. But looking for that same type of action off of that bearish candle, pullback continuation to the downside there. Okay. Coming down to our one. There's our 80-20 on the one. Okay. So this trend line will adjust. Let's see. Not a strong break there, but we're creating lower highs and lower lows. So this one, I would still adjust here, right? Just because this is all just sideways action. So I'd still adjust that trend line there. And we got a bearish candle close below, and now we're moving sideways. So again, look for a pullback and then see if we get that continuation to the downside there. These scenarios here where we have the long drawn out consolidated period, right? But they're creating lower highs and lower lows. They can get a bit difficult, right? But overall, the range is still here, right? Top of the range, bottom of the range, right? So still in this consolidation. So that's why I moved this trend line to that outermost point, right? We're still moving back and forth in this range. So it can be a bit tricky, but in these scenarios, I play it more conservative than anything else, uh, just to give me that additional confirmation. Okay. And in these scenarios, you can also use your cloud and take a look at it from that perspective as well. Right. So on the cloud, we got a break here, pulled back, retest the cloud, and you see we've stayed below the cloud ever since. Right. We also had lagging span, break through the cloud, and our TK crossover occurred there. So we had those confirmation points here, right, at the high point, and price slowly trickled to the downside there. So you can use the cloud or your trend lines depending on your preference there. Okay. Questions on the Swiss yen, right? Still looking for that 225 pip move to the downside there. Nope. Okay. Okay. All right. And then CAD yen. This one is interesting because overall we're looking for this ABCD wave to complete, right? Looking for the ABCD wave to complete, double bottom 618 level, matching the extension at 114,065. But we got to stay above this daily level and break this weekly 110,677 zone. So we got some indecision happening right now, which makes sense. Um, Seeing as you have the Bank of Japan um, holding the rate and you got a rate statement coming out of Canada tomorrow, right? So it makes sense for the market to move sideways here. Coming down to the 4, you see the start of the breakdown here, and now you're getting a pullback. So we'll see if we're able to stay below this level, continue this retracement to the downside, and then we'll see what happens with the Bank of Canada coming to tomorrow. All right. So here on the 1, where you had your 80-20, just wick that 118 level, and then we got a breakdown. All right. We got a breakdown. So push down. We're getting a pullback now, testing that B boundary, looking for this one to continue moving south. Okay. Running your trend lines, you also got that trend line break. All right. So your inner trend line would then come here. Oh, nice clean break there. Got some consolidation, got a bit of a pullback, then a continuation. All right. So looking for those ABCD waves for the downside to continue. Questions on this CAD yen? No? Good. All right. All right. All right. All right. So let's take a look at do, 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 Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD looking at an 80-20 coming off the low, right? I'm just going to come to the 4 here. We had this beautiful 80-20 scenario play out here, right? Got to that 382 level. Now we're looking for a pullback and retest some of this long bearish action here, right? We'll come here to the 1, and there's an 80-20 scenario. We got that sideways push. We're looking for a pullback to occur. We got that pulled back into the zone. Now we're looking to see if we can get price to start making that move to the upside there. Okay. Didn't finish boxing this one. Man, I didn't finish boxing this one out, but here we go. Here we go there. All right. Looking for that pullback back into the zone, which we got. And now we would like to see price continue its move long. Okay. So we're getting the higher lows and the higher highs, right? But we're getting the deep pullbacks as well. So just being patient and allowing this one to move, right? Um, Allowing this one to do its thing and take its time to get there, right? So looking for this one to continue. We're retesting previous resistance levels here, right? So looking for another push to the upside like so. Okay. We can run our fibs off the low. Boom. 8-6 retracement. Came just shy of the matching D extension. So looking for another push to the upside there. Okay. Questions there on the Aussie CAD? Nope. All right. Cool deal. Let's see. Um, Where are we at on the Aussie Swiss? We'll come right into the 1 hour here, right? We got a nice deep retracement, 8-6 level. Didn't get much of a pullback on this move here, right? AB boundary got the pullback there. This one we could continue to the upside. You see here that 80-20 scenario there. We got the consolidation, but we got to push up to wick that D extension when the market opened on Sunday, right? So then we got the pullback. So that one is no longer in play. We'll see how this plays out. We could be looking at more upside here off the 618 retracement, taking out that A boundary. So nothing doing there on the Aussie Swiss on that retracement. Aussie yen. Still looking for this one ultimately to continue to the upside, right? We just got our indecision happening right here at this daily resistance level. So we'll see how this ultimately plays out. But definitely want to see price break above that 97,583 level and continue moving long. Okay. Coming here to the 4, you see the consolidations. Really tight range here, pressing sideways. You got bearish action similar to the others with the news. But this one just looking for like price to continue moving to the upside at the end of the day. Maybe we get a deeper retracement. This one could be more indecisive than any of the other yen crosses. So we'll watch that, especially with concerns about the war expanding and those types of things. This one could be the most indecisive of them all. But you see the move here, right? 618 retracement, trend line break, moving to the upside, right? So stand above this daily support level, see if we're able to break these levels and continue moving to the upside. Okay. So that's that one. This is a C to D move that's taking its time. Ultimately looking at price getting at least to that 98,154 level, and then potentially further than that as well. Questions on the Aussie yen? No, no, no. All right. Let's hop over to the euros again. Take a look at the euro NZD and the euro dollar. So this euro NZD is interesting, right? Long ago, we're looking at potential crown pattern on the weekly time frame. We got this nice strong breakout to the downside. Now we're pulling back and taking back some of that move. So the question is, does this crown pattern play out? Right? We stayed below that 182 level. Okay. Here's the crown pattern here. Look and see if we get this long-term move to the downside. So got this nice retracement here, right? Bullish on the euro overall, right? Until data tells us something different. If we come here to the daily, we already got a 382 push, right? But we weren't able to break out to the upside to get to the D extension. Okay. And that's when price turned over. So watching this one to see what happens. We just broke, this was a daily support level here. We broke back above it in that retracement. Looking to see if we stay above and continue long, or do we break back below this level and continue moving to the downside, right? Because you got this little bit of a range here. We had support there and you had support there. So this is a little bit of a resistance range that I have my eyes on. Whoops, to see if we're able to, or what direction we break out of this, right? This is just a retest of this range that we broke out to the downside, pull back retest, then continuation to the downside. That's what I'd love to see, right? For more selfish reasons than anything. So we'll see what happens here, see if we're able to break back down and continue moving to the downside, or do we break above, retest, and continue long, right? So that's what I'm watching there, see which way we move. We got data coming out of both this week, so we'll see what happens. Here on the 4, we took out the A on the move long. So we'll flip our fib and run it from the low. And you see here, and I missed this yesterday, but we're consolidating now. But we got a shallow retracement and a push into that 118, 127 zone. Right? Originally, we're looking at this 80-20 here. Right? We're arranging, and it got closer to the D extension. Benny said, watch to see if we're able to tap that. Well, we tapped that, gave us a shallow retracement, then we pushed into the 118, 127 zone. So we got another opportunity here for an 80-20 on the Euro NZD, right? We'll see if we get the catalyst to move this to the downside to play out this 80-20 and potentially put us in position for that longer term crown pattern to play out. Okay, so this is a new one. I would like to see us pull back a little bit more since I missed it out of the zone originally. Right, we'd love to see it pull back somewhere in that range there, right? Get me back to at least that 118 level. But there's the opportunity there. Like so. And that's in the short term. And then, like I said, if we start to crash through some of these lower time frame levels, we could long term see this 80-20 play out on the weekly time frame. Right? We'll see what happens with the euro, see if their tone changes and becomes a little more dovish as the year moves on. Okay, so we'll watch that and see. But here's the 4-hour time frame. Like I said, I'd like to see price push up just a little bit higher. Give me that opportunity there. May not get it, we'll see, but then move to the downside there. Okay. Questions on the Euro NZD? And on the 1, this is what that looks like, right? Also got 80-20 scenario there. Shallow retracement, just missed that 382, pushing to the zone. Boom. Right? So that pullback would be lovely again here in this scenario. Okay. No questions there. All right. Let's watch that there. What I'll do is I'll bring this down to the 1. It's pretty similar. Good. Okay. So that's the Euro NZD, Euro dollar. Moving down, right? Crown pattern, weekly time frame, evening star, down. It's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. We're coming to the daily time frame. You see that move to the downside there. We're breaking below this daily support level. Want to see a strong break and close below that level, right? From a daily time frame perspective, right? It's struggling right now. We'll see what happens with the dollar, but this one could continue to make that move down, at least to that 107, 224 level. So let's watch that there. Struggling there now, but we could continue that move, right? Coming to the 4. Right, there's the overall move there on the 4. Okay. So looking at this one more from a higher time frame perspective, we got a 382 push there, and then you see the strong break to the downside. So we'll continue monitoring this one from a higher time frame perspective to see if we get this move down. But I do think from a technical perspective, we'll see if the fundamentals line up with this. But I do think we could be in for a longer move to the downside on this euro dollar. I do. So we'll see. We'll see. Questions on the euro dollar?
Can I see your 1 hour again?
Yeah.
Okay.
What you looking at?
I messed up. I was looking for one more push up. I didn't drop my fibs. I was just going slowly on the cloud and trend line breaks.
Okay. Let's see. Looking at the break of the cloud here.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. I got you. You see, so one of the things, right, is you see at the end of you could get another push up, right? You see cloud is just moving through price, right? And you see we got support there. Don't have a full twist here, right? So you could continue to see this consolidation, right? So it wouldn't be surprising if it does do that. It wouldn't, right? We are in consolidation. The cloud shows that. So I follow your thought there.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's why I said I really want to see a nice strong daily break of this level, right? Strong bearish candle to the downside. Because if we don't, then you're this range is still intact here, right? That range is still intact. So I follow your thought there, and we could definitely see that as a possibility. I do.
Because the only reason why I said that, because the dollar, has been so weak, but what due to the recent news, I know that I was looking for price to go ahead and fill in that gap before it go down, and I know that's a long
Yeah,
time because it's on a daily.
yeah,
But I know I have watched it, seen sometimes with it'll chase to that gap, and as soon as it get there, then it exhausts again. So that was my
yeah.
thought in that.
I follow you on that, and that gap did cross my mind as well. And you see, right? You see, I was expecting a deeper retracement here also, right?
Okay.
But I think, and that's why I think fundamentally is going to be the key, right? Tons of PMI data tomorrow, and then you got the rate statement on Thursday. So I think between these two, we could get our answer.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I because that's ultimately what we're waiting on, right? All of this sideways movement here, just waiting on a fundamental catalyst to push in one direction or the other. So I think that'll be the key. That'll be the key.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the euro dollar? No? All right. All right. All right. All right. What else I got on my list here? That's all I've got. Do you guys have any pairs you got your eyes on? We got a few more minutes here. That you want me to take a look at. Ethereum. Still waiting on this pound Swiss to push into the zone in that daily level. So be patient on this pound Swiss, euro Swiss. Okay, gotcha. Um, see if we get another push to the upside on this pound Swiss. Right. So be patient here, still waiting on this one to complete that move to the upside. All right. See if we can push into that zone, tap that daily level at 110, and then see if we get the collapse here. Okay. So that's that one. We said Ethereum. See, not one that I mark up regularly. Let's see how my markup played out though. crown pattern, down, pulling back. All right, all right, all right. So we broke that monthly level, no longer there. Support here. Boom. Let's do this. Do a quick top down on Ethereum. See what it gives us. Support, 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 resistance. Boom. Monthly time frame done. Nice pullback on that, right? Strong move to the downside. Nice pullback. See what happens from there. Interesting. All right. Weekly time frame. Boom. Support level there. Support level there. We'll tag that one as well. So that's our weekly support. Don't have a resistance level just yet. We need this candle to close below before that occurs. So we'll wait on the weekly level there. We'll come down to the daily and it'll give us daily resistance. All right, so on the daily time frame, beautiful turnover there, push down. And we're coming into a level of daily support as well. All right, cool. So got support resistance in like so. Now let's look at this thing from a Fibonacci perspective. All right, got support resistance in. We see overall, right? Since 2022, we've been moving to the upside, right? But the question is this a lower high? We'll see. We'll see. We know it had a crown pattern moving to the downside. Let's look at it from two perspectives. There's your AB boundary to the downside, right? Longer term move, we got just shy of a 61.8 retracement level. Do we get back to 720? I'm going to mark this level out because I'm curious. See if we get back to that level. Boom, there we go. All right, strong move down. So we're coming into a level of daily support. Want to see what the fibs look like running them to the upside. There we go there. Coincidence, all right? Not really. So I'm going to pull these out. We know overall down, that's our daily D extension there, right? Short term, 80-20. Boom. Shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone, turnover breakdown. So already on the move to the downside, we could see pullback and then maybe we get a continuation. See if you get a pullback like that. See what the lower time frames say. At least something like that. Now, what's will be key is if we break these levels, this daily level, this weekly level, we could be in for more downside movement. Right? If we get a deep retracement on this fib, we could be in for more downside movement, at least getting back to that 15, 17 level. Right? So that'll be interesting to see how this moves over the long term. But there, and that's nothing fundamentally. This is sheer technical analysis, looking at things as they currently are. Right? Looking at them as they currently are. I know there's a ton happening in the background when it comes to crypto. We'll see how that impacts it. But there's your look on the 4. Okay. So there's the 4, AB boundary, breakdown, coming into a deep retracement level in line with the daily support level. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Coming down to the 1. I'm going to look at this from the low, but I'm also going to look at it running that sub fib off the high. Puts me right into it. Beautiful. All right. So runs me right into this level, and we'll see the AB boundary taken out there. So it's perfect. So now we'll come to the high, run that fib to the downside, see where that retracement lies. Right. So looking at, like I said, retracement, and then see if we get a continuation. So let's watch this here. Right. Broke through that 118, 127 level, trying to stall out a bit here. See if we get this retracement to occur back into the sweet spot, and then see if we get a breakdown. No matter the time frame, no matter the asset class, right? And even with the futures, markups are the same, right? The process top-down analysis is the same, right? The only thing that's different in futures or any other trading platform is how you enter and exit the trades, right? We're looking at futures, you got contracts. Contracts have end dates. So you want to ensure that you're trading a contract that has a longer, in my opinion, right? The way I traded them, I didn't trade expiring contracts, right? Some people do trade expiring contracts. I don't. Um, but you want to look at that contract date and make sure that your trades are closed before that contract closes. Um, yeah. So that part is different than trading this. And you also have futures on really everything. So you even got futures on water. So if you want to trade water, you can do that as well. But let's see what happens here on Ethereum. See if we settle in. We may not, right? We may just run to the D extension there, hit that support level, and then bounce. So let's watch this and see how that plays out. See if we get an 80-20 flip here, and then move back to the upside. So let's watch that there. That's on the 1, right? So, but overall, this is what I'm looking for is a retracement, and then see if we can get a continuation to the downside to break this daily support and weekly support level and give us some more movement to the downside. Questions on Ethereum? Oh, all right, cool deal. And then we said Euro Swissy and Euro Aussie. So Euro Swiss is going to be interesting, right? Daily, this is our fib. We got 382 on the retracement off the 80-20. And we've been pressing down, but just shy of the D extension here. All right. Actually, let's bounce back one more level. Let's go to the weekly. Go to the weekly. From a weekly time frame perspective. Headed down. All right. Got a 618 retracement. Matching D extension is here at 77,400. We've already broken this key level, which was an all-time low, right? We're retesting that level now. If we break back above, then we could see more longs. But if we stay below this level at 96,814, could continue to make these lower highs and lower lows and make our way to this matching D extension here. So this is also something that that I have my eyes on and I'm watching there. Okay. That's a sub-fib. Smaller waves off the C. This will be interesting to see how this plays out. All right. So that's the weekly time frame. Come down to the daily time frame. Daily is in alignment as far as bearish action. All right. We'll change this to blue. We'll bring this down just to give us a bit of comparison. So daily time frame. Daily time frame D extension, weekly time frame D extension. So more downward pressure potentially over the long term. We'll see. But we broke key levels. We're pulling back. All right. We pull back, retest, got a high point. Do we get an evening star here? Decision, indecision. Do we close with a decision candle? If we do, could definitely be looking at more downward pressure here. Right. And this is the move that we're looking for back at the beginning of the month, right? At 80-20, looking for that to play out, which it did on the lower time frame. Now we got a high price. Do we turn over and make our way back down? Coming to the 4. Similar story. 50% retracement, just shy of it, push down. D extension there, which is in line with that daily D extension. I don't know why I made that green, but it's a daily D extension. So do we make our way back down here? Coming into the 1, there was that 80-20 move to the upside. We got to that 618 retracement level. Beautiful. Now what happens? Boom. 80-20 on the sub fib in line with a 618 retracement. We've already started making this move to the downside. Didn't have this one written down. But making our way to the downside. So here's an 80-20 on the sub fib. This could turn into a longer play. Yes, we broke the downtrend line, right? So it'd be interesting to see as we move down into that 236 at 382 retracement on the sub fib, do we break below this trend line again and continue moving to the downside, more based on a higher time frame perspective? So there's the sub fib 80-20. And then the question is, do we get more downward movement? Do we get more downward movement? All right. But beautiful scenario there. Questions on the Euro Swiss? Nope. All right. We'll deal. We'll wrap it up on the Euro Aussie. 618 retracement, trend line break, moving long, getting a pullback now, right? Daily level that we broke through, pulling back to retest. All right, we already broke our inner and middle trend line, approaching that outer trend line. So this was moving more bullish here from a daily time frame perspective. We'll see if we get that to continue. On the 4, 8-6. Let's see what we got here. That got taken out. So we'll run a new one there. I'm gonna run these off the high. We got choppy. There we go. So 2 perspectives here. That's off the high, AB boundary, got a 618 retracement. All right. So what happens with the euro as we move through this week is the question, right? Does this crash and move back down to the downside? The other perspective is this could be just a pullback. All right. We get a pullback into the zone here on the sub fib and a continuation to the upside. this week could definitely give us some insight on where things move. Right. So we'll watch that and continue to see what happens there. Coming down to the one. I don't know what I got happening here. There's our AB boundary. There's an AB boundary on the one, right? Pull back just shy of 50%. You see we got some consolidation there, which makes sense ahead of rate statements. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what direction we push. We'll see what direction we push on this one. This one I'm waiting on data, right? I'm not trading this one in any direction. I do think we could see some weakness in the euros coming soon, and we see some action like that. It's just personally, I don't have any data to support it yet, but we'll see what happens here. But personally, I think we could see this action down to 158,533. Waiting on to see what the data says and see what the tone of the ECB is, to see if we get some supporting action on that. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Okay. So I don't have anything right now on this Euro Aussie, but just waiting and seeing what transpires there. Okay. Questions on the Euro Aussie?
Can you put your cloud on the 1 hour?
On the one. Sideways action. You did get a break. Came back retest, right? But got some indecision here. But we are below the cloud.
Okay.
Any other questions on the Euro Aussie? On the Euro Aussie? Questions on anything that we covered this morning? No? All right, cool deal. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Spring New York session. You guys have a phenomenal day. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.